But your life will get easier once you start to do the hard things, because then everything is attracted to you. You don't have to work for anything. Everything comes to you because you're vibrating higher and you have addressed the things about yourself that you aren't. Hello, welcome to Authentically Aligned, a wellness podcast where we speak on all things wellness, from fitness and nutrition to meditation and mindfulness, healing, growth, self-help, and so much more. If you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for your love and support. And I want you to know that I'm sending you that same love and support right back. The topic that I want to talk about today is frequency. Now, there are different definitions and meanings to frequency, but the type of frequency that I'm talking about is the rate at which a vibration occurs that constitutes a wave. So we talk about wavelengths, we talk about vibrations, we talk about frequency, and they all are relative and they all play part in one another. But frequency is actually a conversation that has been coming up so frequently, ironically, for me, but your frequency is everything. And the difference between your vibration and your frequency is your vibration is created based off of your frequency, but your frequency can only be created when you really start to become aware and recognize the things within yourself and address the things within yourself and really dive in to that internal awareness that we talked about a few weeks ago to create that frequency. Your frequency comes when you decide that you want to be better, you want to do better, and you want to change your life. And that all starts obviously with your mindset. But it starts with the little habits and the little habits of making sure that you are taking steps to dive into yourself, to check yourself, to really understand where you want to vibrate, how you want to vibrate, the frequency that you want to vibrate on. And I had a really great collective conversation today, and we talked about frequency, and we talked about how your frequency and your vibration create your reality, because naturally the law of attraction is a thing. So like attracts like. And in that, if you are vibrating on a low or a high frequency, you're going to attract a low or a high frequency. This can go for anything in your life. This can go for your relationships. This can go for your work environment. This can be in your career, in the things that you're trying to manifest, the things that you're trying to call in, the things that you're working toward, and overall, your entire life. When you choose yourself and you choose to tune your frequency to a higher vibration, then naturally the high vibrational things are going to come. With that comes abundance, with that comes success, with that comes genuine connection and relationships and authentic connection and relationships. Connection and relationships of people who have a similar like mindset that now you are able to elevate and grow together. Now, the opposite of that, the reverse of that, is the same for the lower vibrations. When you start to surround yourself with low vibrations, whether it be people, whether it be choices that you're making, whatever it may be, you start to collectively hold on to these little low vibrational things, and naturally it brings you down. It brings your frequency down. And I think it's interesting because our frequency changes, absolutely. And we have a conscious decision to make when it comes to our frequency, and we can absolutely decide to vibrate on a higher level or vibrate on a lower level. But I think also as we move through our day, as we move through our weeks, our frequency naturally changes. There are some things that we go through that are naturally a little bit lower vibrational, and then there are things that are higher vibrational. And when you become aware of these things and you use that internal self-awareness to understand the frequency that you're vibrating on, then you can make a conscious decision as to what frequency you want to be on. And it really is just as simple as that. You get to decide how you want to vibrate. And based on how you decide to vibrate, that is what you are going to call into your life. So if you are vibrating on a mediocre frequency, you are going to attract mediocrity. If you are vibrating at a high frequency, you are going to attract high vibes. You're going to attract high value people. You're going to attract high value opportunities, high value environments. But I think where people tend to struggle is not knowing what it feels like to be on these high level frequencies, and also struggling with feeling worthy enough to be on these frequencies. And that again goes back to your internal self-awareness of what are you worthy of? What are the things, just because you desire something, you're worthy of everything that you decide. Let me say that. But just because you decide that you want these high vibrational things, do you align with these high vibrational things? And that is where your frequency becomes a decision, but it becomes a decision to want better and then to do better. Because if you want better, but you're not doing better, there's no alignment in your frequency. The vibrations are different. But if you do better and you have these high value frequencies, the more and more and more, the better that you do, the more in alignment with these frequencies you become. But I think it really takes you understanding the worthiness of yourself, but also your self-limiting beliefs and your self-sabotaging habits that you create because there is some belief in your head that you are not worthy or you don't align with these high frequencies. And naturally, that makes sense. If you're not feeling worthy or you're not feeling like you align with these high frequency things, how can you call in the high frequency things? But when you start to do the work on yourself and you take time every single day to build your knowledge, to build your awareness, to provoke thought in yourself, to change your mindset, to be open to different ideas, then you naturally are starting to create this higher vibrational frequency. Because if you are closed-minded in any situation and it's your way or no way, then you really are limiting all of the possibilities of life. And when you start to see things from a perspective that is other than your own, you start to recognize that there is no right or wrong. It really is just a choice of being better, of doing better, of wanting greater and grander and bigger, or of staying stuck in this closed mindset and staying at this same vibration, this same frequency. They say knowledge is power, and it absolutely is, because the more knowledge you start to obtain, the more knowledge you start to put into yourself, the more knowledge you have when you take yourself out into any situation, any environment, any social setting. And when you have this knowledge, you start to see people as just that. People are just people. We are all just figuring things out. But that is where the beauty in us as humans really lies, is in our own personal frequency and being able to have respect and love and appreciation for everybody at whatever frequency they are on. When you can do that, you have so much power, because we have all, every single person, I do not care what anybody says, every single person has operated from a low vibrational standpoint at some point in their life. And there are some people that will continue to have those moments of vibrating at a lower capacity, at a lower frequency. But there are others who never again will go back to that low vibrational standpoint, because they have taken the time to educate themselves, to bring knowledge, to bring awareness, to bring understanding, to bring communication to their life. And when they're able to do that, when anybody is able to do that, the only way to go is up. Part of the conversation that I was having with this group today was talking about, we all have these desires. We all know the frequency that we desire to be on. We know that when we are on this frequency, the manifestations that we have will naturally come to us because they're going to be attracted to us. But sometimes it's easy for us to get caught up in the fact that we are not quite there and stay in this low vibrational place. But the reality is that is on your heart for a reason. You already have that frequency inside of you. You just have to figure out how to tune into it. You have to fine tune it. You have to find the tools, the resources, the people, the environments that are going to help you to fine tune those skills to become a high vibrational person. It's very interesting because when you start to find yourself vibrating higher, you also start to recognize the environments, the situations, the people that don't necessarily align with that vibration. And it almost is a feeling of anxiety or tightness or a repel, which makes complete sense because like attracts like. You think of it as a magnet, right? Like attracts like. So naturally magnets are drawn to each other and they come toward one another. So this doesn't just go for relationships and people. This also goes for the things in your life that you want, the better things. Like I said, the better opportunities, the better environments, the success, all of these things, the abundance. The higher you vibrate, the more high vibrational things are going to be attracted to you. Now, in the opposite of that, it is just like a magnet where if you are on a frequency and there is something, whether it's an opportunity, a person, whatever it is that is on a frequency that is lower or higher, in that case, the like does not attract like, and it's actually a repellentness. So it's like when you try and put two magnets together and they push each other away because they're not on the same frequency. They're not on the same wavelength. Very similarly, you turn on the radio and you can turn on the radio, and for how many stations is it just static? I don't know when the last time I turned on a radio is, I will tell you that, but it's static. Just noise, right? And you have to get it perfectly tuned to the right frequency in order to get the crystal clear sound. And very similarly, you have to tune yourself to the right frequency to find the clarity, to find the crystal clear placements of the things that are supposed to be in your life. And once you fine tune those things, it's naturally going to come. It's effortlessly going to come. You don't have to think about it. It's just there. It comes. It's smooth. It flows. It's beautiful. And I want you to start thinking about life in this way, because your vibration is what comes from your frequency. So your vibration is what attracts these things or repels these things. And your frequency creates your vibration. And all you have to do is decide that you want to fine tune that frequency. So maybe you are a very reactive person. It's very easy for us to be reactive. If we are frustrated, if we're stressed out, if we're anxious, the first thing that we want to do in a triggering situation is react. But I will tell you, in that, if you are able to fine tune these things and take a moment and pause and understand your emotions before you lash out on somebody or you do something crazy, that vibration automatically raises. And then you're closer into alignment of the things that you want. But we can want things and not take action toward them. And that is where a huge disconnect comes in our manifestations, in the things that we are trying to call into our life, in our relationships, in our friendships, in our family, and everything that we do, is because it's easy to want better. But are you willing to make the sacrifices, to take the time, to educate yourself, to make yourself better, to dive deep and understand, why do I do these things in order to vibrate on the higher frequency? That's the hard work. And that's the work that not everybody is willing to do, but that's the work that also shows in everybody that has done it, because they naturally vibrate higher. They have this lightness to them. They have this presence to them that no matter what happens throughout their day, throughout their week, throughout their month, throughout their life, they're unshakable. Because they know that whatever is going to be for them, whatever is meant for them, is going to be attracted to them, because they have done the work. And not only have they done the work, because once you do the work, it's not over. It doesn't stop. You continue to sharpen and fine tune and make yourself better. And naturally, guess what happens? The better, greater, more abundant things, again, start to become more attracted to you. And I think this is something that is very important for us to understand, because the law of attraction is a real thing, and it doesn't just work in human connection. It works in abundance, opportunities, environments. And when we're able to really apply that and pour into ourselves the way that we deserve, or the way that we pour into external things. I think sometimes we work so hard on controlling our external environments that our focus turns to that, and our focus turns to trying to find this control and what can I do to manipulate a situation and make something work and make this puzzle piece fit. And if you do that for the rest of your life, you are going to forever be anxious. You're going to forever be stressed out, and you are always going to be trying to figure it out. But instead, if you take that sense of control that you feel that you need and apply it to controlling yourself, controlling your emotions, learning more about yourself and learning more how to understand yourself, that is where your control has power. Because when you start to control yourself, that's when you're able to really step into these higher vibrations and higher frequencies. And then you don't have to control your external factors. You don't have to control your environment, because your environment is attracted to you. The things that you want are attracted to you, and they come to you so naturally. And I think that that's, like I said, that is where people think that manifestation doesn't work, or they're like, oh, but I manifested this. Well, you can manifest, but manifestation is so real, but you have to be on the vibration and the frequency of your manifestations. And if you're not on the vibration and the frequency of your manifestations, you're going to forever be in this hamster wheel or the merry-go-round of trying to control your environment and never feeling like you can get a grip or never feeling like you can get off. And I think that's something that really needs to be considered. Something else that I actually had a really beautiful conversation about this week is your frequency when it pertains to, of course, I facilitate sound baths. Like, I am all about your frequency and vibrating on that same frequency. And it's really powerful when you are able to let your mind go and clear your mind enough in a sound bath or in a meditation or in your manifestations to really just allow yourself to be on that same frequency. Because when you're able to, this pertains specifically to sound baths, and it could be applicable in other places, but for me, this really resonates. And for those of you who attend my sound baths or do attend sound baths or in the future will attend my sound baths, when you're able to release the control of your mind and you are allowing your mind to run free, thoughtless, you're able to vibrate on the same frequency of the sound bowls because you are able to feel them. And your body, when you're not controlling it, when you're not controlling your thought, it naturally takes on the frequencies of the bowls, which do something to your body. They realign your chakras, they rebalance you. And when you're in this state, you are able to have so much clarity and see things so clear and visualize and understand the things that are in alignment with you because you are in alignment with a frequency that is so much better for you. So I think overall, when you think about your frequency and your vibration, the biggest thing is releasing control. Release control. Take control of yourself, your emotions, not your actions. I mean, some of your actions, but your reactivity. Because when you're able to control those things and you're able to make a decision and use your discernment that you want better, and how do you get better? What is something you can do every single day that is going to make you 1% better? Listening to podcasts, reading books, taking the time to understand where your emotions are coming from or why they're coming up, taking time to grieve past emotions, taking time to not think so much about what is happening in the past or what has happened in the past and what is going to happen in the future, but really just remaining present and finding that alignment. You release control and you're able to allow. And when you're able to allow is when everything starts to really, really come to you. Take a second to recognize, bring awareness to, and understand the frequency that you are currently on, the vibrations that you currently put out and therefore receive at the same time. And what are you receiving based on the frequency and the vibration that you are presently on? And then taking time to recognize the frequency that you would like to be on, the manifestations, the vibrations that you would like to receive. And what is the difference between that? How do you shift your frequency to be in alignment with the things that you deserve, the things that you desire, and the things that you are worthy of? And I think that a lot of times we hold ourselves down, and it's not that we're not worthy. But we hold ourselves in this unworthy position because we're not willing to take the time to dive into the things about ourselves that we don't like or that we don't want to align with. It's very easy to be avoidant of these traits, these characteristics, these behaviors because we don't want to address them, because we're ashamed of them, because we're embarrassed of them. But let me tell you, when you start to just address the things that you are ashamed of, embarrassed of, not proud of, when you're able to be honest with yourself about all of those things, then you're able to make a step toward change. But if you're not even able to, or you're not even willing to acknowledge the things that you don't like about yourself, they're going to stay there. They're going to stay suppressed. And of course, and absolutely, you are going to feel unworthy and undeserving of the things that you may want. But when you're able to hold yourself accountable, call yourself out on the bad behaviors or the shit that you may be doing to yourself, then you're acknowledging it. Then you're like, okay, this needs to change. I know that I'm like this. I don't like this about myself, and that's okay. But until I say that to myself, I'm just going to let it stay suppressed. I'm going to avoid it and just move on. Like, life is going to continue happening because it will. But life is going to continue happening at that low vibration, that low frequency. The second you hold yourself accountable and say, this is a bad habit of mine, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to vibrate on a higher frequency. How do I change this habit? Whether it's your reactivity, whether it's your anger, whether it's your insecurity. Why are you insecure? Any of your insecurities are overcomable, but you have to decide that you want better. You have to put in the work. You have to do the research. You have to make the daily steps, take the habits. And those are hard things to do. It's not the easy thing to do. But your life will get easier once you start to do the hard things, because then everything is attracted to you. You don't have to work for anything. Everything comes to you because you're vibrating higher and you have addressed the things about yourself that you aren't proud of. And you're able to recognize them. You're able to understand what it's going to take to be better, to do better, to have better. And when you take those steps, like maybe going to the gym, like maybe eating better, like maybe taking time to meditate and clear your head, or maybe disassociating from people who bring this anger and this frustration out of you, or who aren't treating you the way that you deserve to be treated. When you electively remove yourself from the things that are holding you back, you naturally vibrate higher. I promise it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's easy, but I am saying that it does get easier because you start to continuously want better for yourself, and you're constantly working on yourself, and you're constantly elevating. And because of that, the other things that you're trying to control and you're trying to force and you're trying to work really hard for, those things naturally come without the effort, because you're putting the effort into yourself. You're putting the effort to be better. And naturally, everything in your life will become better. It's such a beautiful concept, but until you're able to understand it, until you're able to apply it, until you experience it for yourself, it's an unbelievable concept. It's an unrelatable concept. So what I encourage you to do is take time this week to understand the vibrations that you are receiving and giving, and what frequency that stems from. And take time to understand the frequency that you want these vibrations to stem from and come from, and what you want to put out and therefore receive at the same time. And then what are the changes that need to be made? What is the research or the addressing that you need to do within yourself to vibrate on that higher level. It's going to take steps. It's going to take maybe understanding that I am a jealous person, or that I am an insecure person, or that I can't be happy for others, or that I focus on all of the negative things that happen in my life rather than being so grateful and appreciative and blessed for the things that you do have. That in itself is a frequency change, is a vibration change. And when you change every vibration that you put off, you change every vibration that you receive. So I challenge you to practice changing your frequency, practice changing your vibration in a positive way, and start small. Start with your daily habits. Start with paying people a compliment, being happy for people, being proud of people. Because when you give that to others, they give it back to you. And that is what is so beautiful about the reciprocity of life, the law of attraction. What you give out comes back to you tenfold. And I want you to remember that. So as you move through your week this week, I'm challenging you, and I want you to challenge yourself to make a conscious decision to change your vibration, change your frequency, and take note of how the little things in your life start to change. And once the little things start to change, take note of how the big things start to change. I promise you, you are going to feel on top of the world when you really start to change your vibration and your frequency. I am sending you so much love and light. I'm putting out my vibration, my frequency, and I hope that you are able to receive it. And I'm sending you so much love for the week ahead.